Hello YouTube, I am your host, the Crimson Warrior, today bringing you my Shaddoll deck profile and tournament report. But before I do that, shoutouts to DubKDad1 for absolutely trouncing me in his Take My Cards challenge, a challenge where DubK puts up his own personal cards to put something on the line to get ready for tournaments essentially, and he puts the match on his channel and to no risk to the player themselves. So an awesome challenge, helps him grow as a player, is a great way to maybe earn a card. If you guys want to check him out, I will leave a link in the description below and his name across somewhere on this picture. If you guys enjoy my content, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Comment down below, tell me what you're hyped about in Yu-Gi-Oh! Or just things going on in general. Subscribe to my channel, and if you'd like to follow me elsewhere, I post a couple times a week on Instagram at CrimsonXWarrior. Alright guys, telling you about how I did at the tournament. I honestly won one game, lost 4 games, and the one game I won was because Cassie was also playing Shaddolls, and she put 2 Shaddolls on board, and I was able to super poly, which was a bit unfair, and then I was able to go off with Mech Knights turn after turn after turn. Now, this is not the same build that I used for the tournament, unlike most of my tournament reports. I was able to play test right away, and I did not want to do the garbage in Brick again. So I'll tell you what changes I made. There was more invoked stuff, there was more Mech Knight stuff, there was no rank 3 extension package or dangers, and my Shaddoll count was a little lower. So what I've come across is that this is much more consistent and is able to combo off a lot better. Now, starting it off, we have 3 Shaddoll Fusion. Most busted card in the deck, double Foolish Burial. If you are making Construct, it's best to send the Performage monster, the what's his name? Trick Clown. And if you're making darks, it is often not the worst idea to send Alistair and a Shaddoll to grave if you have an invocation in hand. So the engines work with each other incredibly well. Next up, our unofficial Shaddoll / Mech Knight support. Triple super poly. If your opponent gives you the right attributes, you are just allowed to go off basically. And this deck has multiple ways in which it can proc the Salamangreat fusion monster as well. Now, the Shaddoll lineup has been beefed up from what I originally had it at. 1 Dragon, 1 Falco, 2 Hedgehog, and 2 Beast. This deck wants at least 1 Shaddoll in hand, and this is still a little too low to my liking. If I were to add anything, it would probably be another Falco and 1 Squamata because I added Mathematician. But the problem is I don't have any room. This is already a 43 card deck, and I don't even want it to be that. I want it to be 40, but there's nothing to cut. There's no space. 2 Instant Fusion. This is an unofficial Shaddoll monster, basically. It can be a Winda underneath Cherubini. It is also a Winda that you made for free that your opponent has to out Cherubini to do anything to, and if you made Winda good and proper, you probably sent a Hedgehog to grave, or you made Winda with this and your opponent has to out Winda and Cherubini with 1 summon. Now, getting into the rank 3 extension package, we have double Mathematician and double Defrag Dragon. Defrag sets Shaddolls off and sets up my graveyard as well. Mathematician's just a staple left from the old days. He helps out a lot. He's a great normal summon. Finishing up the extension package, we are playing a full danger lineup of all the ones that matter. These ones being level 3 helps a lot with making Cherubini from the extra deck, and Nessie is just a powerful butt to sit on for when you need to make defensive plays, because there's often turns where I just get Mech Knights and dangers, and not any of my other packages. This, again, requires really perfect hand composition, and sometimes your dangers don't draw you cards, such as life sometimes. Now this is an honorary Mech Knight card. You can link this off into one of 2 things in your extra deck. You can link it off into Almirage, which I don't recommend, because you want to link your Alistair into Almirage most of the time, or you can link Ibli off into Link Disciple, which I do recommend because it's actually good and makes a light on board for your construct and your Makaba, and also gives you a Link arrow that's much better than all of your other Link arrows. So it can be a good extender with the right hands if you can make a couple fusions in a Link monster and then leave yourself a open super poly zone to screw your opponent over next turn. Getting into the Mech Knight lineup, we run triple blue, heat pluses. More than anything, that's why we run this guy at 3, even though the others aren't. Purple is nice, but once you have him, you don't need more of him, really, and I don't like seeing more than one of him in my starting hand. And if I'm going first, most of the time that doesn't go off, except for Nightmare Corruptor Ibli, which makes it when you're forced to go turn 1 live, basically. And 2 Indigo Eclipse. I'm choosing to run 2 because I also run 2 World Legacy Secrets, and being able to turn off my opponent's monster effects at the right time is really irritating, and I can search this out anytime I want. This card and the Mech Knight package is why I find space so tight, because the Mech Knight package is so necessary for some of your higher impact plays / like alternative play lines, and they're some of the best light targets for Construct. I want to play around with Trick Stars as well, although all it would be is like Korobanes. I already have the light stage, stuff like that, but Mech Knights seem to be the best package because they can turn stuff off. Now, getting into our very peculiar / small invoked package, I run 3 Alistair, 2 Invocation, and 1 Magical Meltdown. I need stuff engrave, so I actually run, that's why I don't run multiple Magical Meltdown. I would rather send multiple Alistair to grave and have all 3 Alistair than cut anything else down. Magical Meltdown doesn't really do anything for you besides stopping your opponent from, Solemn Judgmenting your fusion cards. They can still Ash, they can still Ghost Spell, stuff like this. And Invocations, I hate drawing multiple of. At 2, I draw multiple of, and I think of dropping it to 1, but it's such a good card, and if you don't use your first Invocation to make a Makaba or Purgatrio and banish your Alistair, then your Invocation is just sitting there dead and grave, very, very sad. For our last 2 tech choices / free spots that I technically could drop if I wanted to make the deck more consistent are Trick Clown and Card Destruction. Card Destruction's here because I need more draw power, and I can often get my opponent to drop their Ash long before I activate this. And Trick Clown is the best extender to send off of Shaddoll Fusion if you're summoning it with your opponent meeting your requirements, because sending this to grave with the Shaddoll means an extra body on board. If you send Falco, another extra body on board, and then you can keep going off in other directions if you want, link into BLS Link or something like that, which I do run in this deck, but you don't need it. I have tested with and without it. I don't make it often, to be honest, but when it's live, and it really helps out. Getting into the extra deck for you guys, we run our Instant Fusion target, 1000 Eyes Restricts. He's it, and we only run 2 Instant Fusion, and they'll always be live because you can also make windows under Cherubini, like I was stating earlier. I have 2 windows because I go through 1 window as a stepping stone sometimes in my combo, and I always want the ability to put my opponent under window. Also, that's why World Legacy Secrets is so good. Winda's a level 5, and you can just bring Winda back on your opponent's turn, and unless they're smart and they destroy the secrets, so many people try to destroy my Winda. It was happening all day, and even though it wasn't enough to win anything, people had to out this by battle or anything, and they wasted so many resources trying to pop it via card effect. It's like, this card cannot be destroyed by my opponent's card effect is an awesome line of text and has made Winda age better than all of them. Construct, I play at 1 of. Sad, you could have played this deck last format and it would not have been any different. It's because Winda is the more broken of the 2, honestly, because it puts your opponent under a really limiting condition. Shaddoll Construct is limited by what you have in your deck and the Shaddoll effects, basically. So it's weak to many things. It can be ashed. It is not the card it once was, but it still is an out to so many things and is one of my favorite cards. I would love to bump it up, but I feel like to bump Construct up, I might have to drop the Invoked package, and that's something that I'm kind of not willing to do yet because it's so broken and provides so much advantage. Getting into the Mech Knight package, 1 Purgatrio, 2 Makaba. Really threadbare, bare bones. There's no room in this extra deck. Like, every time I make a modification, I have to go and look at my engines and see if they're justified again because I'm playing so many different things. Like, rank 3 extenders are literally in here for 1 card, Cherubini, and that's just to increase consistency because that's a huge thing this deck needs. Makaba is the best of the two, and Purgatrios for going to game, so I'll often make Makaba first to prevent my opponent from doing things, and then I will use Purgatrio to go for game or to clear a board if I see the chance. Link 1, Almirage, and Link Disciple. They are your combo starters with Ibli and Alistair. If you summon Alistair, you can make this. If you summon Ibli, you make that. And they just give you decent arrows to go off in Shaddoll Fusion before you step out of this. Almirage clears the extra monster zone as well, which is a huge advantage. And Link Disciple clears the extra monster zone by being fusion fodder more than anything most of the time. So you're not locked out of your extra monster zone using these guys. 1 Cherubini, 1 Morningstar, and 1 Alistair, the Invoker of Madness. These are all your Link 2 starters. Cherubini sends Hedgehog to graveyard, which grabs a Shaddoll to your hand. Morningstar discards a Mech Knight to add World Legacy Secrets to your hand to make your window plays on your opponent's turn live if you need to. And Alistair, the Invoker of Madness, is an extra deck Alistair that you can bring out if you need a way to access Alistair, and that's a way I've been doing it recently. It makes Invocation a much weaker card, but the fact that if you fusion summon under this, you can plus more, basically, is a very good thing. 1 BLS Link, he's easy to make in this deck. We have 3 different monsters all the time, and he gets his full helmet effect. And sometimes in Rogue, strapping your helmet on and running downfield is just the best option. So it's what we got, and it's what we do. Last up, 2 pure super poly targets. We run 3. We can get, and I have gotten multiple people off of this. Violet Chimera and Almirage help you meet requirements. If your opponent is ending on extra deck monster, you can just link up into Almirage and then super poly their extra deck monster away and have a very good time of things, basically, and they're going to be very salty. Next up, Starving Venom. Obvious, Starks run everywhere, rampant on the format. I'm not going to do the side deck because I feel like that's a waste of time for you guys, and it's all locals dependent, but it's just high impact stuff. Red Reboots, because I've learned those are good. Clear the board. I'm going second deck. Nibiru's, which have been recommended to take out because if you're not running them in the main, you probably shouldn't be running them at all. And it seems that control decks / really experimental decks have taken over my local format because everyone's bored. Alrighty, I wanted to thank you guys for chiming in. If you enjoyed the deck profile / tournament report, go ahead and give this a thumbs up. Comment down below, tell me what you like, give Dub K a shout out. Subscribe if you enjoy my content, and hit that notification bell if you'd like to always see when I upload, because it ain't stopping now. Peace, guys.